Hello, thank you. Today, about effects of the path. How being on the path to enlightenment changes experience of life and self. Since I've entered the path to enlightenment, the transformation that is taking place is enormous. There are changes on every level. So today in this video, I want to talk to you about some of these changes and also point out how too many people draw a line between the so-called spiritual practice, some sort of esoteric hobby in some sort of a la-la land, and there is then a real world on the other side, and how they're all completely unconnected and just some sort of a fancy of some people that want to indulge in some sort of spirituality. It's so wrong. This called spiritual practice is so much more important than whatever you can possibly do on a surface level. And the effects are profound. And they are to be found everywhere on a so-called surface physical level once you enter the path. So, back to these changes or effects of being on the path. Let's start with the wants. No more wanting. The only want that's left is to become fully enlightened. And even that want is a different kind of want. You sort of fully understand that it's happening at its own pace, at its own rhythm. You can't force it, you can't speed it up. You have to leave it to its own devices. And all these other wants are just dropping away completely. Like from everyday wants, like wanting to buy this or that, wanting this for dinner, wanting to watch a particular show, to wanting to go on a holiday, land a different job, have a bigger car, have a better house, have more money. You know, you notice how all these wants on a surface level are about having, achieving, obtaining, me and mine. You know, we put such an enormous stress on ourselves with all these wants that are absolutely self-generated. And the great thing about being on the path and moving along the path is these wants are just dropping off one by one, and then one day you just don't really have any more. And the life becomes so much infinitely easier. Of course, you still need to take care of your basic needs. That's obviously a common sense thing. But because the wants are so few and little, and you become so sort of modest in your needs, meagre even, that you can get by on very, very little. I still surprise myself on how much little I need to get by, and how many things in the past were just a complete surplus that I didn't really need, more a burden than anything else. It's such a huge relief, this dropping of all the wants. Wonderful. Then there are other changes, of course. There is a change in the way we perceive ourselves. I notice this sort of physical human form that's bound by its own laws. It's being born, it's developing, it's reaching its peak, and then it's deteriorating and dying and disintegrating. It's just following its own rules. And there is an attachment that's getting looser and looser to this physical form. And because of this attachment, we obviously need to keep this physical form in as good a shape as possible. So we sort of feed it, clothe it, and so on in the best possible way, just to keep it going until we get across, till we get fully enlightened, till we come to the end of the path. It's also to our actions. Our actions change. You see, when you enter the path and you become part of the stream, all the actions that are sort of harming other people or ourselves are not possible. They're not in sync with the natural state of the mind, which is peace and balance and equilibrium. And no more bad karma is created. This is a huge relief too. And then emotional turmoil, of course, the emotional fluctuations, there is no more fluctuations, no more emotional up and downs. I would say that there is actually no more emotions as such, because you see, we're always at peace and balance. And all this emotional roller coaster is sort of completely disappeared. We don't want to feel good, and we don't latch onto things to feel good and chase things to feel good all the time, because we're at peace and balance non-stop. It doesn't change at all, completely unchanging. And while the things on the outside, on the surface level, are changing all the time, our peace and balance are not changing. They're completely stable. So there is no need to push ourselves to feel good, because we're absolutely great the way we are, blissful even, beyond all this good and bad, beyond all this emotional turmoil. And it's also when it comes to sort of, you see, other people and things and stuff like that, we connect with everything around us on a deeper level, but we do not attach. And also when it comes to so-called physical attraction, it sort of drops off to a big degree, because you see, one is sort of the attitude, the new attitude that we have towards the body, our body and other bodies. And it's sort of because, you know, connecting with someone on a certain level, like falling in love, having sex and stuff like that, are all part of wanting to feel good things we sort of think we need or feel we need to feel good. So all this actually drops off to a very, very high degree. And I tell you, I mean, life is just so much infinitely easier. And the insight into life and birth and death and what is and isn't, and people who suffer and people who do bad deeds and all these sorts of things, like everything becomes so very even. No liking, disliking, you know, loving, hating, stuff like that. Everything is very even, very balanced, at peace at all time. So by all means, do not be one of these people who draw this line and build a wall between so-called spiritual, which is maybe even not a good word, and so-called real world. Practice. You see, all I did for all these changes to occur is practice. I did nothing else. Just practice, no thinking, getting away from surface thoughts, going deeper and deeper into the mind. You enter the path, and then the path takes you. You travel with the stream. You're becoming one with the stream. All is unity. It is one mind. Anyway, you get a drift, isn't it? Take care. Bye-bye.